Bezrat Hashem, Boker Tov. We are doing Daf Yomi Avodah Zarah Mem Gimel Amud Aleph. So we were talking about the if you can make images on utensils or not, and then we saw that there were three different examples. So we were saying that one of the images that you're not allowed to do is the dragon. Now says the Gemara. Okay, that if a person finds utensils and on the utensils there's there's going to be an image of the sun, and the continuation is the moon, dragon, then he should throw them out. Why? Because they were probably for avodah zarah. So based on this and what we were learning about also the previous daf, says the Gemara, Reisha v'seifa b'motzei umtziata be'oseh. What the first case and the last case was talking about if you found the images, and then the middle case, the middle case is going to be that what when you're making them. How does that make sense? Says the Gemara, Amar Abaye, yeah, that's what we're going to have to say. Reisha v'seifa, the beginning and the end, bimotze, are talking about when he finds these images. Umtsiata, and the middle case was talking about beose, when he made it. Rava Amar, Rava says, kula bimotze. All of the cases we're talking about where we found it. Umtsiata, and the middle one, Rabbi Yehuda, he is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Detanya, like we learned in a Braita, Rabbi Yehuda, Mosif, af demut menika, visar apis, and Rabbi Yehuda adds on two more things that cannot be engraved. That's going to be the image of a nursing woman and sar apis. The Gemara is going to explain what sar apis is. Now, minika. What's minika? What's with a nursing woman? What's with that? Hashem chava sheminika kol haolam kulo. It was done for Chava to show that she was nursing the entire world, that she was, because of her, there was life to the world. Sar Apis, what's Sar Apis? Al Shem Yosef. It's it's for Yosef, that what? Shesar umefis et haolam kulo. Okay, that he became a minister and what's it called again? And he calmed the whole world, meaning he was the one who supported the entire world. Okay, Vihu dinakat giura, but says the Gemara, this is only if he has a like a measure in his hand. Okay, vika kaid, and he's in the middle of measuring. Vihi dinakta ben vika, and the image of a nursing woman is only if she has a baby in her hand and she's in middle of nursing. Okay, Tano Rabanan. Ezehu tzurot drakon. What is considered to be the image of a dragon? Piresh Rashba, Shekol, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, I think it is. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. Kol sheyesh lo tzitzin ben perakav. As long as he has like hairs, or as long as he has fins between his scales. Okay, sorry, between it's not scales, between its like vertebrae. Okay, kind of like what we know the dragon to be with the hairs coming out from the top. Machui Rabbi Asi ben Pirkei Tzavar. So Rabbi Asi, he showed it the example on himself, like for example on the bones of the neck. Okay, so if it has like types of fins that are coming out over there, then that's going to be the picture of a dragon. Okay, Amar Rabbi Chama bar Rabbi Chanina, halacha ke Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, halacha is like Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. Amar Rabba bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, פעם אחת הייתי מהלך אחר רבי אלעזר הכפר. There was one time I was going behind or with Rabbi Elazar הכפר, ברבי, okay? It was the important one, בדרך, on the way, ומצא שם טבעת, and he found on the way, he found a tabat, a ring, a signet ring, ועליה צורת דרקון, and on it had the image of a dragon. ומצא עובד כוכבים קטן, and he found a small, meaning a minor non-Jew, ולא אמר לו כלום, and he didn't tell him anything. מצא עובד כוכבים גדול, and he found an adult non-Jew, ואמר לו, בטלה, he told him, annul this avodah zarah for me. Velo batla, and he didn't want to annul it. Satro, he basically he hit him. Ubatla, and then the non-Jew annulled the avodah zarah. Shma mina tlat. So from here we see three things. Shma mina, oved kochavim mevatel avodat kochavim v'shel chavero. We learned that a non-Jew is able to be mevatel even the avodah zarah of his friend. V'shma mina. Another thing that we learn is yodea betiv shel avodat kochavim umshamshe mevatel v'she'eno yodea betiv avodat kochavim umshamshe eno mevatel. If he knows the service of this avodah zarah and he knows how to make it, okay, he knows how to he knows what the service of this avodah zarah is and how to serve it, so then he's able to be mevatel. But if he doesn't understand this avodah zarah, then he will not be able to be mevatel this avodah zarah. How do you know the avodah zarah? By breaking a piece of it. Okay, by doing something small that's gonna break the entire image. That's gonna, even if it's like, let's say, yeah, let's say it's a face or something like that. So he's gonna break a tiny bit of the ear, even a tiny bit. Once he breaks it from, he makes a small scratch. He does something. It doesn't. It's not so important what it is. Okay. So that's one thing. And so how did he see that? From the fact that he didn't ask the katan, from the fact that he didn't ask the minor to be mivater the avodah zarah, because the minor doesn't understand this whole concept of the avodah zarah, like what's the way to serve it, what's the way to do the avodah zarah. Therefore, he didn't ask the katan, he only asked the gadol. Okay? Vishma mina, the third thing that they learned was Oved kochavim mivatel ba'al kocho. The non-Jew is able to be mivatel avodah zarah even against his will, because we saw from the fact that he hit him in order to for him to be mivatel avodah zarah, and we see that it worked. Megadef bar Rabbi Chinina. Okay, so uh, Rabbi Chanina, Chanina, he made like a surprise gesture. Okay, and he said. Velet leRabbi Elazar hakafar beRabbi hadetnan. What he doesn't hold of this Mishnah that what hamatzil min ha'ari umin hadov umin hanamer umin hagayas umin hanahar umzuto shel yam. If a person saves an object from a lion, from a bear, from a leopard, from robbers, from the river, or from the tide of the sea, umishnulito shel nahar, and a raging river, a sweeping river. Uve'amotze bisratia, for a person that finds it in the middle of like a highway. Paltia gedola, in a big congregation place where a bunch of people is. V'chol makom sharabim mitzuyim sham, and in a place where a lot of people are found. Hare enu shelo. These are if a person finds an object in any one of these places or manners, so then it belongs to him. Why? Because the owners give up hope on it and therefore becomes hefker, and therefore it should be allowed. So what's the question? He says if that's the case, if he lost it in such a place, the owner of the avodah zarah, he should have made it hefker. He should have made it ownerless, and in that case, just that itself should be enough of a reason for the avodah zarah to already be batel. Okay. Amar Abaye, nihi de mine miyaesh mi isura mi miyaesh. So he says, okay, maybe he was miyaesh from the object, but from the isur, from the avodah zarah in it, who said that he was mityaesh? Okay. Memar Amar, he's for sure gonna say, I oved kochavim mishkach la, if a non-Jew is gonna find it, miflach parach la, he is going to worship it. The Israel mishkachla, and if a Jew is going to find it, he's going to sell it to a non-Jew, and then the non-Jew is going to worship it. So he says, even though he lost it, and he was mityaesh from the value, let's say, of the avodah zarah, but from worshiping the avodah zarah, he wasn't mityaesh. Why? Because he's going to say, if a non-Jew finds it, the non-Jew is going to worship it, and if a Jew finds it, he's for sure going to sell it to a non-Jew, and then it's still going to end up being worshipped. Therefore, he needed someone to be mevatel the avodah zarah. Tanan hatam dmut tzurat levanot היו לו לרבן גמליאל בעלייתו בטבלה בכותל, שבהן מראה את האדיוטות, ואומר להם, כזה ראיתם או כזה ראיתם. So we know that back in the day, how would they establish the new month? By witnesses coming to the Bedin and telling us, like we saw the moon in this manner, and then they would question them, and then if we saw that they were true, so then we would establish that day to be Rosh Chodesh. Now, the question, what the Gemara is going to ask is, it says in the Mishnah that Rabban Gamliel used to have a bunch of diagrams of different positions of the moon. Okay. And when the witnesses would come, when, like simple witnesses, regular witnesses, witnesses that I guess he wasn't familiar with would come, he would show him these images, and he would tell them, did you see this type of moon, and what position in the sky was it? Was the moon in this position? And he would show them all these things. Now the problem with this is what we learned in our Mishnah, that it's forbidden to have the image of the sun, the moon, of a dragon. So the Gemara is now asking, wait a second, how did Rabban Gamliel have the images of the moon? It's asur to have the image of the moon. Okay? So he answers, Umi shari v'haketiv. How is this permitted? V'haketiv lo ta'asun iti. You should not make with me. Meaning, lo ta'asun kidmut shimshayim shamshim lefana. You cannot make like the image of the servants that are serving in front of me. Says the Gemara, Amar Abaye, lo asra Torah אלא שמשין שאפשר לעשות כמותן. You're the only thing that you weren't allowed to do is images that are possible to make like them. Meaning what? כדתניא, like it's started in a ברייתא. לא יעשה אדם בית תבנית היכל, אכסדרה תבנית אולם, חצר תבנית עזרה, שולחן תבנית שולחן, מנורה תבנית מנורה. אוקיי? אבל הוא עושה של ה' ושל ו' ושל ח' ושל ז' לא יעשה, אוקיי? אפילו שאר מיני מתחות. Even if it's other metals. Meaning to say like this. What the Gemara is now trying to answer, or what Abaye is trying to answer, is that when we said lo ta'asun iti, you shall not make with me the things that serve in front of me, he's saying that you cannot make something that is able to be replicated. What does that mean, that is able to be replicated? The sun, the moon, you're not able to replicate the sun and the moon. You can't make anything even remotely similar to the sun. You can't make something even remotely familiar to the moon. What can you make familiar? He says, for example, you have a courtyard. You want to make this courtyard in the shape of the Bet HaMikdash, to replicate what they had in the Bet HaMikdash. You have a small porch area. You want to change this into the ulam, to the hall of the Bet HaMikdash. You have shulchan, right? You have a table. You cannot make it to resemble the table of the Bet HaMikdash. You have a menorah. You're not able to make the menorah in the shape of the Bet HaMikdash, which means what? Says the Gemara, which means 7 branches. If the menorah is of 7 branches, you cannot make it. However, if it is 6, if it is 5, if it's 8, if it's 9, right? These you would be allowed to replicate, because it's not the same thing of the Bet HaMikdash that they had. Additionally, the Gemara says, even if you're not going to make it in gold, because the menorah, we know the menorah in the Bet HaMikdash was made out of gold. Even if you're not going to make the menorah out of gold, it's still asur. Okay, and the Gemara is going to say why.
Yeah, in the ברובע היהודי יש שם...
Yeah. It's 7?
I think it's... No,
Maybe the size is not the real size.
No, יש את המקום הזה שעושים את the same like בית המקדש, everything, right?
Yeah, מכון
They're
המקדש.
not allowed to do?
So if they change it, or again, it's not, I guess it's not, it's mini size. Meaning it's not a real courtyard. It's not a real.
For size.
Yeah, so maybe that's why it would be allowed. Again, why can't you make it? Why can't you make the menorah in other metals, even aside for gold? Says the Gemara. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda says, Af shel etz lo yaseh, even if it's in wood, you cannot make it. Why? Kederech she'asu bet Chashmonai, because this is how they did the Chashmonaim. When they first came, when they conquered the Greeks and they came back to the Bet HaMikdash, so everything was tameh. So what did they do? It says, uh, כרבי יוסי בר יהודה אומר, אף של עץ לא יעשה כדרך שעשו בית חשמונאי. אמרו לו, משם ראיה, you're bringing a proof from them, שיפודים של בזר היו, it was bars of metal, וחופין בבעץ, and they were covered with wood. העשירו, once they became a little bit richer, עשאום של כסף, they made the menorah of silver. חזרו והשאירו, they became even richer, עשאום של זהב. Okay? And they made them of gold. So that's why we cannot make the menorah in either wood or metal. Maybe they make the menorah out of a different material. Okay, the menorah that's in the lava, maybe they made it out of a different material. So they, like, for example, for all you know, it can be made out of plastic. Right? No one touches the menorah. It's closed off it's closed off in a glass. So maybe it's made out of plastic, and that's how it would be allowed. Okay, says the Gemara, v'shamashim she'i אפשר לעשות kimotan. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to question the shamashin, the servants, meaning the servants of Hashem, that you cannot replicate them, you cannot make like them, meaning to say like the sun and the moon. Mi shari, can you still make an image like that? V'atanya, didn't it say in a Braita, ta'asun iti? Okay, when it says in the pasuk, lo ta'asun iti, that what? lo ta'asun iti, lo ta'asun kidmut shimshai hamshamshim lefanai b'marom. The Braita says very clearly that you cannot make images of the servants that serve me in heaven, right? So what do we see? We just tried saying that, no, the Isur of making images is only images that you can copy, like the Bet HaMikdash, the Shulchan, the Menorah, those type of things. But not the sun and the moon, because you cannot replicate them. You cannot make them the same thing. So, wait a second, says the Gemara, but we have a Braita that says very clearly, the shamashashim shamshim lefanai b'marom, the servants that serve in front of me in heaven. So we see that that how can Rabban Gamliel have the images of the moon? Amar Abaye, says Abaye, lo asra Torah ela bidmut arba panim bahade hadadi. Okay, what's the image in heaven that was a soul is the image of the four heads in one body. That what there's the four heads is a person, right? Adam, Shol, an ox, Aryeh, a lion, and Nesher. Okay, and the eagle. All those four images, they say the it says that these are the what? These are the four images on the Kisei HaKavod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and this is what's asur to make the image of any of these things, meaning the Aryeh, the Shol. Those are the images that are going to be asur to make. Says the Gemara. אלא מעתה פרצוף Adam לחודי תשתרא. So in that case, if you're saying that you can't make all four images in with one body, so maybe it should be allowed to be made to make the face of a person by itself, because it's not the four images together. Alama, why is this true? Alama Tanya, why is it true? It says in the Braita, kol partzufot, all the faces mutarim you can make, chutz mi partzuf Adam, besides for the face of a person. Okay? Amar Rav Yehuda Bere de Rav Yoshua. So Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav Yoshua, Mi Pirkei de Rabbi Yoshua, Shami Ali. From the teachings of Rabbi Yoshua, I heard, Lo ta'asun iti. What does it mean when it says Lo ta'asun iti? You shall not make with me. Lo ta'asun oti. Okay? You should not make me. Aval shar shamashin shari. But other servants of Hashem you can make. Okay? Now, Lo ta'asun oti is going to be referring to the the what's it called again? I think the person that we know that the man was created in the image, quote unquote, of Hashem. Okay? Or the four images together. That's what he was talking about. Mechina. Okay? Now, says the Gemara, Vishal Shamashin, Mishari? But the other servants of Hashem, you're allowed to do v'hatanya, but doesn't it say in a Braita, lo ta'asun iti, you shall not make with me, lo ta'asun kidmut shimshayim shamshim lifanai b'marom, you shall not make the image of the servants that serve in front of me in heaven, kigon ofanim v'serafim v'chayot hakodesh u'malachei hasharet, like the different types of angels, you cannot make images like that. אמר אביי, לא אסרה תורה אלא שמשין שבמדור העליון ושבמדור התחתון. Okay, so the Torah only allows us to make it, or only forbids us from making images of the beings, you can say, that dwell in the highest level of the heavens. And over there, what? There's the different types of angels. So only the different types of angels we cannot make the images of. Okay? But whatever's lower than that, we can. And we know that there's the concept in Yadut always of Shiv'a Reki'im, the seven heavens, right? The seven layers of heaven. And the highest layer. So he's saying, well, the only thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu forbade us from doing is the shamashim, the different servants that are going to be on the highest level, but on the lower one, meaning the heaven directly above us, it would be allowed. Okay, says the Gemara, "V'shebemado hatachton mishari." What? Do you think that even the on the lower heavens you can make their images? V'hatanya asher bashamayim. It says in a Braita when the pasuk says asher bashamayim, that is in the heaven, lerabot chama ulvana kochavim umazalot. When it says in the heaven, it refers to you cannot make images of the sun, the moon, the stars, the constellations. And then when it says the word in the pasuk mima'al, above, lerabot malachei asharet, it comes to include the angels of heaven. So we see very clearly that now we can't just say, "Ah, no, it was talking about the highest heaven. It was talking about the four-headed throne, the creature, whatever it is." We see very clearly it says the sun over here. So it answers the Gemara, Kitanya hahi le'ovdam. So when it says Asher b'shamayim ima'al, and it talks about the sun, the moon, all those things, it's only in regards to serving them. Meaning you shall not be able to serve the sun or the moon. You cannot try to use them as a medium to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? Um, says the Gemara, wait a second. If you're trying to tell me that the pasuk is telling me that you cannot serve them, okay? Afilu shinshul katan nami. Why does it have to tell us that you can't worship the sun and the moon? It's even a small worm you wouldn't be allowed to worship. So what's the Gemara trying to teach? Is that what the Gemara is trying to teach us? Says the Gemara, inach, you're right. Yes, even the small worm you cannot. Umisefa dekar nafka, and we learned this from the end of the pasuk. Why? The Tanya asher ba'aretz, when it says asher b'shamayim mima'al, in the heaven above, v'asher ba'aretz, and when it says on the earth, lerabot yamim unarot harim ugvaot, it comes to include the seas, the rivers, the oceans, and mountains and valleys. Mitachat, and then when it says the word mitachat, underneath, lerabot shilshul katan, even the small worm. Okay. So from here we see that what? That the Isul would only be to serve those things, but to draw them, to draw the sun, the moon, and all those things, you would be allowed to do that. Says the Gemara, Vasiya greda mishari, what? You would be allowed to really draw and to make the sun and the moon? V'hatanya, lo ta'asuniti, it says you shall not make with me, lo ta'asun kidmut shamshayim shamshin lifnai b'maram kigon chama ulvana kochavim umazalot. Says you cannot make an image of the sun, the moon, the stars, the constellations, all those things. Says the Gemara, Shani Rabban Gamliel, de'acharim asulo. Answers the Gemara, okay, you know what? Rabban Gamliel was different. How was he able to have the pictures of the moons? Because he didn't do it himself. Others were the ones that did it for him, meaning he had non-Jews that did it for him so that he can show others. So meaning even when the non-Jews did it, they didn't do it for Avodah Zarah, they did it for him based on his command, and he used this afterwards to verify the witnesses. Says the Gemara, Veha Rav Yehuda de'acherim asulo. But wait a second, Rav Yehuda also had a case where other people made for him. Ve'amar le'shmuel Rav Yehuda, and Rav Shmuel said to Rav Yehuda, Shinena, sharp one. Sami ene didan. Okay, so it seems like that what Rabbi Yehuda had someone that made someone that made for him like an image of a person or something like this. Huh?
Tabak.
Yeah, a ring with an image on it, and and Shmuel told him, go have someone poke out its eye. Meaning you have the image of the face, go poke out its eye, which means that what? Even though someone else made it for him, he still asked them to go poke out the eye. Okay? Hatam bechotamo bolet umishum chashada. Over there, says the Gemara, by Rabbi Yehuda was different. Why? Because the face was protruding. It was standing out. Okay, and we're afraid of the chashad. We're afraid that people might think that Chaz v'Shalom he's doing avodah zarah with this. The Tanya, because we taught in a brayta, tabat shechotama bolet asur lehanicha umutar lachtom ba. Okay, you cannot leave it like this, but you're able to sign with it. Meaning, it's going to be a signet ring. It's okay. Okay, chotama shokea, but if it's engraved in the ring, mutar la'nicha, you can put it on. Ve'asur lachtom ba, you cannot sign with it. Why? Because if you're gonna sign with something, you're gonna press the signet ring. If the image in the signet ring is engraved inside, meaning the image is pushed in, when you're gonna put the signet ring on the seal, on the wax, whatever it is, what's gonna happen? It's going to cause the image to pop out, right? The image of whatever it is to pop out. But if on the ring, the image is popping out, so when you're going to put it inside the wax, what's going to happen? Inside the wax is going to become indented, and then it's going to be allowed. Okay? So says the Gemara, "Umi chayshinin chashada." Are we really afraid of people suspecting that he's going to do avodah zarah? Chas v'shalom. V'ha beknishta shaf v'yativ bin Arda. There was this bet knesset of, they call it shaf v'yativ in Arda. The ukme be andarta. Okay, that they had inside of it like some sort of a statue inside of it. Okay, of the king. Aile be Avodah Shmuel v'Levi umatzlu begave, and the father of Shmuel and Levi would go and pray inside of it. V'lo chayshi lichashada, and they weren't afraid of the people that are going to be choshedim, that they're going to do avodah zarah. Answers the Gemara, Rabim shani. If it's the public, it's different. V'ha Rabban Gamliel diachid hava kivan says the Gemara. But wait a second, Rabban Gamliel was a yachid, so how could he have it? So answers the Gemara, kivan de nasihu, since he was the nasi, shechiche rabim gabe, he had a lot of people always by him, therefore it was always considered to be rabim by him. V'ibait ema. Or if you want, you can say the plakim havai. The images were made out of multiple pieces. Okay, so therefore it wasn't a complete image. Vi baitema, or if you want to say lihitlamed shani, if it's made to be able to learn from it, it's different. Detanya lo tilmad laasot, aval ata lamed leavin ulorot. You shall not learn to do it, but if it's to teach others, you would be allowed to do so. So, okay, so it says the Gemara, the last part. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says that if there's sun, moon, the dragon, if they're engraved on kelim chashuvim, then it's going to be asur. But if they're going to be engraved on regular standard utensils, then it's going to be allowed. Says the Gemara, Ezu mechubadim. What is considered to be important and important utensils? Ve'ezehim mevuzim. And what is considered to be not so important, or the like cheap vessels. Okay. Amarav mechubadin. What's mechubadin? Meaning important. Lemala min hamayim. Okay, if as long as it's above the water. Okay, meaning if it's going to be on the upper part of the lip of the utensil. Okay. That's going to be important. Mevuzin lemata min hamayim, and mevuzim and cheap ones are anything below that. Ushmuel amar elu ve'elu mevuzin. Shmuel says both of these are going to be considered cheap utensils. Ela Elohen mechubadin. What is considered to be important utensils? She'al ha shirin ve'al nizamim ve'al tabaot. as if they're going to be on the lip, if they're going to be on the handles, if they're going to be on the accessories that are on the utensil. Okay, not on the utensil themselves. Okay. Tanya Kavate de Shmuel, and there's a braita that supports Shmuel. Mechubadin, what's going to be considered important? She'ala shirin, V'ala nizamim, v'ala tabaot. If they're going to be on all these handles, okay, the ears, the lip, the handle. Mevuzin, what's going to be considered cheap? She'al ha-yorot, that's going to be on the pots. V'ala kum kumasin, v'al mechamechamin, v'she'al asdinim, v'al mitpachot. So it's going to be other things, like it's going to be the towels, the sheets, the pots, the pans, those type of things are going to be considered to be cheap. Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Shochek v'zoreh laruach. Rabbi Yossi says that by Avodah Zarah, what do you have to do with it? You have to grind it and then you throw it to the wind. Or metil amayim, or metil yam, or you throw it to the sea. Amru lo, but they told him, Afu na'aseh zeved, it turns into fertilizer. Shneimar, lo yidbak biyadecha me'uma min acherem, and you shall not enjoy anything from that which is going to be asur. Okay? Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.